Hello, good afternoon. Yes, only two more. Yeah, hello. My name is Anne Marie Pierce, and I'm in the water planning program for Thurston County, and I'm here to help moderate this session today. We're going to be hearing from two folks who are with the Snohomish County Surface Water Management Division. We're going to be hearing from Laura Frolich and Jody Lind, and I'm going to let them take over. I'm just going to remind you all that this is being videotaped, recorded today, and so hopefully you have your cell phones off. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laura Frolich, and this is Jody Lind, and we're with Snohomish County Surface Water Management. Thank you all for coming to our presentation today. We're going to be talking about our drainage facility inspection and maintenance program. So a presentation overview, we have quite a lot of things to get through. So we want to give you an overview of the program itself, talk a little bit about our funding sources, go into detail on our inspection process, and share with you some of the resources that we provide to the public, discuss some of the challenges that we have, whether we've resolved some or they're ongoing, and share with you some of the great positive outcomes that we've seen. And then we're going to briefly go into some changes that are taking place with the program and some alternatives that we're considering implementing in the future. A lot of you probably know Snohomish County, know that we're a huge area. We have over 800,000 people that live in Snohomish County. 400,000 are in the unincorporated, and that boils down to about 100,000 ratepayers for us. It covers over 2,100 square miles of land. We have two major rivers, the Snohomish and the Stillaguamish, and we have over 1,700 miles of road in unincorporated Snohomish County, and it's structurally has 5 council districts, and there's an interesting mix of rural and urban. We are a fast-growing county right now. We're seeing a lot of new development. We've seen a lot of new development, and so it's an exciting time to be working at Snohomish County. And we're a Phase I. I think I put it up there. So some of our program metrics. We're digging into the permit. We're a Phase I. We're talking about the O&M section 9. It will soon be 10, I guess. And we currently in our MPDS program have over 1,300 drainage facilities, and we categorize them in 3 core categories. Of course, we have the regulated and the owned and operated, but within the regulated, we have our residential facilities, and then we have our commercial facilities. And so here you can see the breakdown of the percents of systems are within each category. And our program, it generally takes around 12 FTEs to run. There's 6 inspectors, we have inventory team, we have GS analysts. So our surface water division has approximately 100 FTEs, but this program, it ranges. Our inspection costs, we're estimating are $360 per inspection, which we find to be a really pretty good value for what we're providing. And on average, the maintenance costs per year are $1,300. As you can imagine, most facilities don't need maintenance every year. And so that's really a gross mean as far as our total costs. When we have facilities that need a lot of tree removal or excavation, those costs can be upwards of $10,000. So the maintenance costs vary dramatically according to the facility type. And then something that's a little different about Snohomish County is we actually have early on designated a very legally sound concept of what was regulated under the MPDS program. So we actually have almost 1,300 facilities that are not considered part of that regulated program and are not currently being inspected and maintained. So, moving on. We have different ways for each of the categories that we fund our programs. So for the public facilities, some of you may, be considering, how do you negotiate with your road fund? Like, what do they have to pay for compared to the surface water utility? And the way we do it is any systems in the county road right-of-way owned and operated by Snohomish County, we are charging our road fund for all of the services, so inspection and maintenance. For all the facilities that are off right-of-way and tracks and easements, that's what we're billing to this utility fund, this SWIM utility fund. For residential facilities, so when we devised our program long ago, we decided that it made more sense to actually pay to do the maintenance. And so this is something that I'll talk about later on in the presentation, but we have provided inspection and maintenance services to private residential facilities for over 10 years, and that's paid out of our surface water SWIM utility. And then commercial facilities, we do inspection services only, and the businesses and multifamily housing pays for that maintenance. And that's going to transition into what Jody's going to talk about, which is our commercial facility inspection program. Here you go, Jody.
Thank you. So our commercial properties include a variety of different entities and are a very diverse group. So you could have large businesses, you can have family-owned or multiple families, such as apartments, condos, that type of thing. Some of them may have HOAs, some of them may not. And each group has varying challenges and resources for completing facility maintenance, which I will talk about later under challenges. So our pre-inspection's done in the office. We come in the morning and we get on Cartograph, which is our operating system, and we pick some facilities that we're going to go out and inspect for the day. Then we assign ourselves some tasks for every asset that's in the facility, and we go out and we do the inspection. So once we get out in the field, we try to make contact with the owners or occupants. Our program focuses on customer service, communication, and education. So each time we can make personal contact, it's an opportunity to increase awareness and establish mutual respect. Then we complete the inspection of all of those assets, everyone that's in the facility. And although this can be time intensive, meeting with them and being available for contractors or the owners, we'll go out and visit with them if they need assistance. And it can be very time intensive, but it creates a deeper understanding and appreciation for stormwater systems, and this leads to better compliance outcomes. So once we have completed the inspection, we head back to the office and we do a customized report for the homeowner or business. Then we send it off to our lead worker. He does a quick review and sends a task to our administrative staff to send out a letter, and we include our reminder, or our response card and our site map. So when we haven't gotten the letter back, our administrative staff will send out a 10-month or a 6-month reminder. And then as inspectors at 10 months, we will also, if we haven't heard back yet, get a hold of the, try to do an on-site visit or send them an email, get a hold of get a hold of the owner. And this letter would then include a code enforcement warning that they could be penalized if they didn't comply. When owners have difficulties meeting the year deadline, though, and they're still communicating with us as inspectors, we make strides, but they're still making strides in the right direction, then we continue to work with them and may grant extensions depending on the circumstances. Once the work is complete, the inspector will go out and validate right away, because we want the homeowners or the business owners to know that their efforts are important to us. This also makes sure that they do the work is complete and that it's done accurately. So we have created some customized resources that have been very helpful in establishing positive outcomes. which include maintaining compliance rates of over 90% or 95% in our commercial program each year. Our tailored facility map, which you see here, are crucial resources because they allow the public to visualize their facility, what's underground. And it also enables vendors to make more accurate quotes. We have our inventory team, which works closely with our GIS team to create these site maps. So this is our brochure that we send out with the letter. It just is a quick response form that they can fill out. We provide everything they need so that it's easier for them. They just fill out a few lines, mail it back prepaid, and let us know that the client that they have complied and all the work is done. Then, at the 6-month mark, this is our friendly postcard. It reminds owners that we remain committed to their progress. As with our other correspondence to the owners, this postcard also provides online services or resources which outline the NPDES requirements, drainage program, and drainage guide. It provides various ways to contact surface water should they need assistance. So this is our drainage, our drainage maintenance guide, which we are currently updating to reflect new types of facilities coming online. It has been a very valuable tool for us because it's user-friendly and it outlines or reflects the official Snohomish County guide, but it explains things about common maintenance needs in easy, understandable terms. It contains many different types of assets that they may be contained in their facility, and it provides a more visual layout. So although our group is really diligent about getting good contact information and working with those contacts, we do have some challenges of new owners, miscommunications, and dissolved HOAs. Changes in ownership have a major impact in the consistency of the inspection and the work tasks. Old owners do not always convey what needs to be done or what has been done or hasn't been done. And vendors have also been known to be a little dishonest with property owners and tell them that work has been completed and hasn't been, especially on assets that are under the ground that they can't see. And another big problem is when HOAs dissolve, because then you might have to send a letter to all of the homeowners in the plat, anywhere from 2 to 50, and then trying to get those homeowners to join together to get the work done. I'm sure you've probably run into this somewhere. And then a few people might get stuck carrying the burden, or then we have to send them to code enforcement if they don't get it done. And for small businesses and homeowners, often the cost of maintenance itself becomes an issue because the owners haven't budgeted for this type of stuff because they maybe didn't know about it. Language barriers are also very tough, especially when you are trying to explain technical information or talk about the maps or what you want them to get accomplished. And another problem that we've run into is lack of vendors. So in the good season, the vendors are all working on the bigger jobs to make more money. So our property owners struggle to find anyone to do the work, even though our county provides a list of generic or like a generic roster of vendors and names and contacts. And I wanted to just throw a little example of one of these. I was working with Costco one time, and I had a really good contact, and I sent him a letter, and I never heard anything back. So at the 6-month mark, they sent a postcard, and I still never heard anything back, and I was like, well, that's not like them. So at the 10-month mark, I sent a letter to the contact, also to the corporate office, and to the store. And as soon as they got that, they made contact with me. it appears that my contact that I had been working with in prior years had left, and my letters hadn't made it to the new person's desk. So what I did is I went out and I met with the new manager, and he walked around with me, and I showed him all, what I looked for, what he could look for if he were going to, look around and see what needed to be done. I showed him the assets. I showed him the vault. I talked to him about how the filters need to be changed every 3 years. And so they got on board. So it kind of turned around there, and then he got on board, and when the filters are changed, they send me an invoice every year, or every 3 years when they change them. And they're just a great group to work with. But that's just, an example of what happens when they change people. You just don't know. So a successful private facility inspection program with positive outcomes benefit the whole county. But you need professional, well-trained staff and excellent customer service. When promoting voluntary compliance in your commercial program, focus on education and outreach with your owners. Providing owners useful resources, guidance ensures a provides a better understanding of the process and reasons for the NPDES permit. Positive outcomes can be reached when you have good contact information and are willing to invest the time. Because of this approach, we have been able to consistently achieve 95 compliance each year. So proactive maintenance promotes public health, recreation, clean water, less flooding, as well as compliance. Keeping the water clean ensures that generations to follow will be able to enjoy the benefits of our work in the future.
Back to me. Thank you, Jody. All right, so now you guys know all about our commercial program. Now I'm going to talk to you transitioning a little bit to our residential program. So I showed some slides earlier, but I realized I didn't have the total cost. I put the metrics on per facility, but you can kind of do the math. We spend a lot of money paying for inspection and maintenance on all those facilities to the tune of over $2 million a year. And so we're needing to figure some things out because we're having some finance problems. So what's going to happen? We're looking at cutting the maintenance service for the private residential. When we're looking at 2021. We recognize that there's some work to be done before we launch into that. But why? Well, surface water management in Snohomish County has not changed their rates since 2009. And as you can imagine, cost of living, cost of doing business, it's every year, these indirect costs go up for us, and so it really does cut into the service delivery. So support for the rate increase has been a little bit of a challenge for us, and so we're making the tough choices that have to be made in order to produce balanced budgets. So who are we affecting? We're affecting our constituents, we're affecting residents, we're affecting new homeowners, people that have lived there a long time, people that have received a service for a long time. So the impact is not small, and we're estimating around upwards of 16,000 individual households that will be losing this service. We've done some preliminary with our database and stuff, about only 40% are affiliated with an HOA. So some of the problems that Jody was sharing with you about the commercial program's really successful, but the multifamily piece of it is the most challenging and time intensive with our resources. We anticipate it being exacerbated once we do this with people that have no mechanism to pay for things in common. We're also going to be affecting the stormwater service providers. Hopefully maybe they'll jump up and want all that business, or maybe not. So we're going to do some work before we just change this for those people, and we're evaluating our policy alternatives. Sorry, this is a little bit of a lot on the slide, but I want to walk through a couple policy alternatives that we are evaluating this year and planning on choosing one. The first is transitioning those residential facility owners to the commercial model, giving them all the customer service, the brochures, the warnings, the education. But we have a real suspicion it's going to lead to a lot of legal costs. It's going to lead to code enforcement, and it's really going to possibly affect our relationship with our, constituents. No elected wants their residents going through legal battles with the government. So that's one we're looking at. We're also looking at a surcharge model. If we need, $1 million extra to keep that service intact per se, maybe we can charge those people and say, hey, on your stormwater service fee, if you have a private drainage facility in your neighborhood, you would pay this extra amount to receive that service. We do think we can do it for a cost effectively, and so we don't want to force that on them, but we also think they would be interested in that. It is a complicated fee structure, as you can imagine, because what if your system doesn't get maintenance every year? What if your system is a bioswale and it really doesn't need a lot of costly maintenance? It doesn't have 45 filters or something. So we think it will be an equitable way, but we need to get a sophisticated financial model to do that. What about dedicating them all to the public? One thing we've learned is that this problem may be a little more unique to us because some jurisdictions early on said, single-family homes with public roads, all of those systems should be publicly managed. So I'm not ruling this one out as a viable option, even though it might be a hard political lift to say, hey, let's grab a lot of assets and add them into our inventory and own and operate them. And then individual billing. So we could go down the road of you're not doing the maintenance, and we're going to use our county forces and then abate the costs. But what we're learning is, okay, so say your portion of the maintenance bill that year is $50, but it costs the government $30 to send you that bill, and then collect that money back is really potentially difficult. We're not, we'd have to use collection agencies and that sort of thing. Most of us all, put our fees on the property tax because it's a sure way to ensure you're going to get that revenue. So that one is low as far as feasibility goes. And then a rate increase. This isn't a service that we're thinking, okay, there's a lot of households out there that actually have like the service we provide, and when we no longer provide it, might stand up and say, hey, government, I want you to fund this, and we think you need more money to do that. So that of course is something we are definitely anticipating, but it's, once again, difficult. So some of the things we've learned, and I'm bringing this stuff to you guys because I'm sure all of you have faced difficult policy decisions. You're working with your decision makers. You're trying to get them the most and best information so they can make good, smart decisions for all of us, because we're all residents somewhere. And so here's just some things that we've learned is strive to be objective and when you evaluate your policy alternatives. Don't leave out pertinent information because it makes your option look better. Put everything in there. Let them know the downsides of everything and the upsides of everything and who they're affecting. Be inclusive. Be rational, thorough, and consistent. Provide relevant information and continue to learn from other municipalities. We've had success with that. What does Pierce County do? What does Thurston County do? What does King County? We're always being compared to our peers. So. And then, of course, recognize policy decisions are difficult. No one wants to make them, it seems. So, getting people to make hard decisions with not all the perfect information. We can't forecast or predict everything. We recognize public response is hard to predict. I may be pleasantly surprised that all 16,000 households immediately adopt, they're able to do the maintenance. Who knows? But we're trying to anticipate those things. And then we learn, our electeds, their priorities are changing. They might not even be known to us. And so, timing is important. And of course, we deal with our complex stakeholders, conflicting interests, and we're continuing to manage expectations. So whether that's internally in your organization or externally with your public, a lot of people, we all know with utility work, it's like no one knows we do anything till it all goes wrong, and then we're the idiots, I guess. So just keep trying to make good policy decisions. And so what's next for us? We're going to evaluate that residential program and look at all our policy alternatives. We're going to get in front of our council and ask them to consider something. We're going to implement something, and we're going to monitor it. And we're going to see, because obviously being in compliance with our stormwater permit and fulfilling our obligations as a county is very important to us. And so we may have to revise what we've done. We might learn immediately this is not successful and we have to go back to status quo, or we have to try something different. So be willing to change when it doesn't work. And so in conclusion, as Jody mentioned, our program for the commercial is successful. We've had a lot of business owners understand, and they're doing it and they're following through. And but it takes time spent with them, and prioritizing customer service is super important, and providing those resources to them. We do state, our multifamily continues to be a challenge, but we're, I think, becoming more of a norm for them. And then, our policy change that we're looking at is looking to take place in 2021. So one of the reasons I brought this here to you guys today is there's still time for us to, maybe not make those service cuts. So we have a little time to figure it out. Thank you all, and we're willing to take any questions.